Hi, my name is Sarah Freshly and welcome back to Freshly Read Books. I'm actually filming this, it's still, like Christmas time. Actually, Christmas is next week for me, but I don't think that this will go up until the actual new year. And I'm talking about 2021, so I feel like I should be like cheersing champagne and watching a ball drop. I wonder how they're gonna do that this year. I guess you already know how they did that. Considering you're in the future and the year has already started, the new year. Because if there's not everybody there, are they just gonna drop it and just like stand there? It's a bit weird. Anyways, so for this video, I wanted to talk about the books that I am excited for that are being released in the year 2021, maybe, hopefully. So I've got like 14 and a half books. I'll talk about the half when I get there. It's like the last one. Actually, maybe I should talk about the half first. Okay, let's talk about the half first. And so what I'm using as my half is Amor Towles, who wrote A Gentleman in Moscow and Rules of Civility, and also Even Hollywood, which I think is a novella that's based off of Rules of Civility, around one of the characters from it. But basically, that's all he's written. But both Rules of Civility and Gentleman in Moscow did incredibly well, and I love both of those books. Gentleman in Moscow is one of my favorites. And yeah, so I clearly really like this author. And last year for you, but this year for me, in January, so January 2020, he had an interview where he said that he was hoping to have a book being released in 2021. And I haven't found out anything about any book besides that. So I'm just gonna throw it in as if it comes out in 2021, it's definitely one of my most anticipated releases. If not, then that's why it's a half. That's why it's the half on this list. So the new book is supposed to be about 3 18-year-old boys and an 8-year-old boy on their way from Nebraska to New York City in 1954, and then the book spans just 10 days. So it's he was saying basically it's very different than like A Gentleman in Moscow. It doesn't have all this sophistication to it or anything, and also it's centered on much younger main characters, and that it's only a short span of time, whereas Gentleman in Moscow covered a very long span of time. So yeah, that's one I'm excited for, but I don't actually know if I should be getting my hopes up for it yet, because I have no idea if it'll actually be coming out this year. Okay, now let's get to the other ones. I don't know if I should do this in order of date. Okay, well, let me do the other one that I don't know the exact date that it's supposed to come out, which I guess there's two more that are like that. Okay, so the other one I'm unsure of if it's coming out this year is Outlaw Empire, I think is the name of it, by Nicholas Eames. This is, which I believe is also actually the name of a TV show or something, because I was trying to Google it before and it was very difficult. So Nicholas Eames is the author of Kings of the Wyld, which if you've been following me, you know that I love this book. It was one of my favorite reads of this year. I'm currently rereading it. And also, if you listen to the podcast that I am a part of, then you'll definitely know that I really love this book. I think I've mentioned this book in 3 different episodes of our podcast, and so far we have 8 episodes. So yeah, I talk about it a lot. Honestly, if you like adventure novels or funny books, the humor in this is so good. It's so constant. I feel like a lot of books are oh yeah, this book is really funny. And novels specifically, not nonfiction. I think there are a lot of funny nonfiction books. But a lot of novels, you'll see oh, this book is a laugh out loud riot or something like that. And then you read it and it's okay, yeah, there was a few jokes in there, but it wasn't I was laughing the whole time through. But this book, I was actually laughing the whole time through. So if you want a read like that, and it's just fun, it's just a fun read. I can see myself reading this over and over again. There's actually a second book in the series that I will be reading very soon because I do have it now. And then the third book is going to be Outlaw Empire, or whatever that book is called, which is either coming out November 16th or in 2022. I found both those dates. I found 2022 in Goodreads, and I found November 16th in some website somewhere. I don't know when, but maybe this year and maybe not. But if it's this year, November 26th, apparently. November 16th. What did I say? Did I say November 16th before? Because that's what I meant. Oh, that would be a lovely birthday present. That's right after my birthday. Anyways, and then lastly, one that I don't know the exact date for is Fredrik Backman's novel Those Who Run Towards Fire, which is Beartown number 3. Technically, they aren't sure on that name yet. That's what it's loosely translated from Swedish into English. So it might be something a little bit different than that, but probably close to that. Beartown, if you don't know, oh my gosh, I never even explained what Kings of the Wyld was. Maybe this shouldn't be in the picture. So basically it's like set in this world that is, you know, very like Dungeons and Dragons-esque. And it's about a band of mercenaries that have retired, but then they come back together for like one last one last adventure. There we go. It's absolutely wonderful. I know that they are not the focus of the second book, although I haven't read it yet. And I don't know like if the third book is supposed to be centered on the same people from the second book, or if it'll be again an entirely new band of people, and then like every book in the series will be a new band or something. I don't know. I'm excited to find out though. Okay, then we've got Beartown. So Beartown 3, or Those Who Run Towards Fire, I think, by Fredrik Backman. I have talked quite a bit about Fredrik Backman on this channel. I have one video that is centered on all of the books he has written, and then I've got like a follow-up to that one that's specifically about anxious people that came out after that initial video was released. So, you know, check that out. Actually, I do have a question. So if you could leave a comment, if you're a fan of like those style of videos that are like all the books that this author's written and a new book comes out by that author, would you prefer to see a video that reiterates the points made in the initial video and also includes that last book, or just like a, now we're going to talk about this last book, also like go see the other video? Does that make sense? Because I was kind of torn about that for Fredrik Backman and Anxious People, because I made it like not that long before Anxious People came out, and I kind of just made it as like an addendum to the original video. But if Fredrik Backman keeps coming out with more books, and I expect he will, because he's really good at it, then I don't know, like I really like the idea of a video that covers all of the books, but obviously books keep coming out. And yeah, so basically just let me know if, like, what you would prefer, or if you have an opinion on it at all, or if you care about this at all. Thank you, that'd be so great. Just taking a little survey here. Okay, so Beartown is about a small town that is really focused on hockey and like their local hockey team, and it follows a bunch of different characters, both like parents and then also children that are in school or that play hockey. And there's also like a lot of other stuff that goes on, and there's a lot of like, you know, how much are you willing to really stand behind this hockey team, especially if something like goes wrong, or if somebody does something that is not good and that should be penalized, like not just in hockey, but like criminally so, you know? Are you picking up what I'm putting down? Because I don't want to spoil anything. But like, okay, my feet are starting to fall asleep. I probably shouldn't be sitting on them. Ow. So yeah, that'll be the third of that. Beartown is one of my favorite Backman books, so I'm excited to continue the series, but I do think that I'm going to try to reread the first two before reading the third book, which is supposed to come out sometime in 2021. I haven't found a date for it, so I'm expecting late 2021. Maybe. I don't know. Okay, now let's maybe go in order of when things are going to come out. So I think the first one I've got is People Like Her by Ellery Lloyd, which comes out on January 12th. And I actually already have the book because this was a Book of the Month pick for December. And also this is in my First Lines thriller video that should be up by the time this goes out. So I will link to it, info card, description. You know the deal if you want to see more about it, but I haven't started it yet. Basically, it's about a mom who becomes an Instagrammer and really like Instagrams a lot of her life, specifically her being a mom, but her husband isn't really like totally on board with it. And I think there's like some marital problems, and then also maybe somebody comes into her life that discovered her through like what she has put forth on social media, but maybe, you know, that's how they got so close to her. I don't know. It kind of just like alluded to that in the synopsis. I'm making like a lot of leaps here, so forgive me if I'm wrong, but it is a thriller, a suspense novel. I don't know. It doesn't sound super thrilling, but I'm still excited to read it because I like thrillers. And I like thrillers that are like focused on or like include social media, because I think that can be like such an interesting take on thrillers, but there's not usually many of them. Like a lot of the thrillers I read, it's like, we've got no cell phone reception. So that whole part of it just like goes out the window. Next would be January 19th, Remote Control by Nnedi. Remote Control by Nnedi Okorafor. Oh, I should have looked up pronunciation before I started this video. Oh, I'm so glad I looked this up because I had the last name right, but I had the first name so wrong. Okay, so Remote Control by Nnedi Okorafor. She also wrote, it was a very popular, because it became an HBO series, I think, or something, maybe. I don't know. I can't remember now. I should stop like starting sentences that I don't know the actual information that I should be saying in the middle of the sentence. Remote Control is like a very sci-fi-esque, I think it's a novella. I don't even think it's like a full novel, but it seems super interesting and I don't really know how to explain it to you. One of the quotes that's used at the beginning of the synopsis is, "She's the adopted daughter of the angel of death. Beware of her, mind her. Death guards her like one of its own." And I guess if she touches things, they die. If she looks at things, they die. And I don't really know how it all works, but it sounds super interesting. It sounds very Jeff Vandermeer-like, where it's, you know, got this like really weird take on it. So I'm really excited about this, even though I haven't really read any of her books before, but I just saw that this was coming out in January and now I'm like totally on board. And then another January release is, I don't know the name of this book, but it's by the McElroy brothers, who do the podcast My Brother and Me. They also do The Adventure Zone. Also, some of them have different podcasts with their significant others that are separate from those podcasts, but I mostly listen to My Brother and Me because I'm trying to like listen to all of the episodes because I came into the game really late, but also The Adventure Zone I really like. But they are hilarious. It's three brothers and they're coming out with a book in January. Okay, yeah, they're coming out with a book called Everybody Has a Podcast Except You. And I think that that's hilarious. But also not except for me, because as already mentioned, I am in a podcast. My friends and I started a podcast this year. We love Mabim Bam. That's the shorthand for My Brother and Me. I will link to their like website and everything in the description. Definitely check them out. They are so funny. And obviously, you know, I'll link to my podcast in the description. That's just like a forever link in my description to videos now. So, but Brittany, Casey, and I, we really like the McElroys, and so it's kind of cool that they're coming out with a book about podcasting when we just started a podcast, and like that, they were how I got into listening to podcasts in general. I don't know if the same is true for Brittany and Casey, but I do know that they both also really love them. So, oh, and then the book is just a how-to on starting a podcast. I don't really know any other information about it, but I'm excited to read it just for their humor, honestly, but also it'd be nice to pick up a few tips. So, okay. And then on February 2nd, The Project by Courtney Summers comes out. So I haven't actually read any Courtney Summers books. I know she's very, very popular. She was the author of Sadie, which was huge. And, but this book is supposed to be, I think it's like a sister learning more or like researching into her sister that's like joined this cult or something, but it's a thriller. And lately I've been really into the docuseries that cover cults. Like The Vow on HBO was amazing and you should definitely watch it if you've got HBO. I really think that a thriller in that atmosphere would be really cool. And I don't think I've actually read a book set in a cult at all. But that's just like a fascinating setting for a book. I'm sure there's plenty out there. I just haven't read any yet. So I'm very excited for this one to come out. So now we're up to February 9th, Gamechanger by Neal Shusterman comes out. This I've already forgotten what it's about, and I literally read about it today. Okay, so what I know about Gamechanger is it's a YA, which is not typically something I go for, but it's about a kid that's like falling through different dimensions or universes, and each one gets stranger. That's all I know, and honestly, that's all I need to know. So next is The Conductors by Nicole Glover, which I've actually been approved for a review copy of on NetGalley, so I could be reading that like now, but it does come out in March, and it's a historical fiction, but also fantasy maybe, and murder mystery. I don't know, it sounds really great. It's set like at the time of the Underground Railroad, so I'm into it. Next we have You Love Me by Caroline Kepnes that comes out on April 6th. This is the third in the You series, so that's You, the one that's on Netflix that like Dan from Gossip Girl is in. What's his name? I don't know. But in the show his name is Joe. And now I can't like look at You Love Me and not think You Know You Love Me, which was like the whole Gossip Girl thing. But I've read the first two of this series. I really, really enjoyed them. I love books that are set from the like villain's perspective. I think it's really cool to see that. And yeah, that's the end. You is set from the villain's perspective. So like, it's weird because at certain points you sympathize with him and then he gets, you know, murdery and you're like, oh, never mind. Also stalkery. There's a lot of things he does wrong, like a lot. Then on May 4th, Hail Mary by Andy Weir comes out. I know next to nothing about this book, but I love Andy Weir. He's the author of The Martian and it starts with an A, Artemis. Yes, and I loved both of those books. The Martian I read this year. It was one of my favorite books of the year, which is in that video. So yeah, I did read the synopsis for this and I remember being intrigued by it, but honestly, I would just see anything written by him and I'd be like, okay, yeah, I'm on board. Then May 25th, Malibu Rising by Taylor Jenkins Reid comes out. I don't really love, okay, I've only read Daisy Jones and the Six by her and I didn't love it, but there's something that intrigues me about her. I think it's because everybody else likes her that I just want to keep trying. So I'm actually going to be reading The Seven Husbands of Evelyn Hugo, which was huge, and for book club. And then I also have Malibu Rising as a review on NetGalley. I don't know what it's about. I think it's set in the 80s, if I remember correctly, in Malibu, probably. I should have looked these up better. But now my battery's dying and I don't have time for that anymore. Okay, and the last one I have comes out I have two more. On June 22nd, Filthy Animals by Brandon Taylor comes out. That is a short collection series by Brandon Taylor, who was the author of Real Life. So for obvious reasons, it's on this. I loved Real Life. Once again, one of my favorite books of the year. So I'm looking forward to reading his short stories. And then lastly, we have, of course, where is it? On June 29th, Survive the Night by Riley Sager coming out. So excited for that. Once again, one of those people that like any book that he writes, I'll be reading. I still haven't read all of his books under that pseudonym, and I plan on reading books even not under that pseudonym by him. But yeah, I'll get there. Survive the Night sounds great. It's like supposed to be like this 90s road trip. I read the synopsis to it like a while ago, and it was like a single sentence at the time. There's probably more information out about it now. Those are all of my 14 and a half books that I am very excited for this year, and hopefully I will read this year, but you know, who knows? Some of them might not even come out this year. But I'm looking forward to it, and I hope you are too. What books are you looking forward to in 2021? Did I name it, or are there ones that I missed? What should I be looking out for? What do I need to read this year? Anyways, I hope that you enjoyed this video. If you did, consider subscribing for more videos, and I will see you in the next one. Bye.